Why? Good things to say. How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
Ready?
Good. Yes.
All right. We'll call a meeting to order of the Joint Economic Development Organization Board of Directors meeting for Wednesday, September 10th, 2014. If we could start with a roll call.
Commissioner Bueller? Commissioner Cook?
Present.
Commissioner Archer?
Here.
Mayor Wolgass?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Eberhardt? Councilmember Hiller? Here. Councilmember Schmidt?
Here.
Members, this evening I did receive an email before the meeting from Denise Everhart indicating that she was unable to be here and that she has asked that Michelle Della Isla take her place as the designee for a voting member. Does that need to be a motion or just a notice?
Just noted.
So it is so noted. If we could then move on to the next item.
Item 3, approval of the May 14th, 2014 JEDO Board meeting minutes.
I believe that all members should have received the minutes by email or other correspondence. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? Are there any questions or comments or corrections? Mr. Schmidt.
Move to approve.
There's been a motion to approve by Nathan Schmidt, second by Commissioner Archer. Is there all in favor?
Aye.
I guess we would call roll call vote.
We have a, isn't that much?
Used to it across the.
Commissioner Bueller? Commissioner Cook?
Aye, yes.
Commissioner Archer?
Aye.
Mayor Wolgass?
Yes.
Councilmember De La Isla? Councilmember Hiller? Yes. Councilmember Schmidt?
Yes.
I would also note, we did maybe skip it to note that there were no members of the public that had signed up to speak on that item. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. If we could then move on to item number 4.
Item 4, JEDO second quarter cash statement.
Good evening. I'm Betty Greiner, the Financial Administrator for Shawnee County and the Treasurer for the JEDO Finance Committee. I have the cash statement as of June 30, and you will see, yes, it's on the screen, so you'll see that we received sales tax receipts from the City of Topeka of $3,555,113.69. We received sales tax receipts from Shawnee County of $3,616,435.30. Received interest income of $233.35, giving us total receipts of $7,173,782.34. We go on to the disbursements. We had disbursements to the City of Topeka for the Topeka Boulevard Bridge debt service payment of $3,240,650. We had disbursements to Shawnee County for county bridges of $1,500,000. For the Southeast 45th Street project from Adams to California, the total on that was $3,481,686.87. And for the Northwest 46th and North Topeka Boulevard project, we paid out $1,410,439.86. We also paid to Go Topeka $2,499,999.96. We pay them on a monthly basis, so we take the $5 million and split it into 12 equal payments. So that's why the dollars are, the cents are a little off there. We had publication expenses for the RFP and then bank charges. So we had total disbursements of $12,133,228.66. So we had disbursements, net disbursements, because they were over the amount of the receipts, by $4,959,446.32. Our beginning balance at the beginning of the year and this is our cash balance, was $6,897,910.67. So as of June 30, we had a bank balance of $1,938,464.35. Now, I do want to point out that this is a cash statement. So this is the cash that we, received and that the cash that went out. And these numbers will differ slightly from the numbers on the audit, because while this is a cash basis statement, the audit is based on an accrual basis. So on the accrual basis, revenue is recognized when it is earned, not when it is received. So the December sales tax is not received till February, but on the audit, it is recorded in December. So just to clarify that for you.
Thank you very much, Betty. Is there any questions from the members regarding the statement?
None.
Seeing none, if we would then move on to item number 5.
Item 5, JEDO 2013 Financial Statements and Auditor's Report.
There is attached within the minutes or the agenda items, the auditor's report, as well as the financial statements. We have gone over the year-to-date. Are there any questions from the board members regarding those items or the auditor's report?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I spoke with Betty and would like to have her discuss or provide some background on pages of the audit, 41, 42, 43. There is a change in presentation and also where speaking to the difference in how the assets are being recorded now. If you could just, I think it'd be helpful to have background for us and for the public on that.
The presentation there's not any difference in the presentation for the JEDO audit itself. The presentation change was how the city and the county presented their portion of the JEDO fund on their individual financial statements. So the change did not really occur in the financial statements for JEDO itself.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. And the other, there were no audit exceptions or any measures like that in the audit.
That's correct. That's correct.
Which is very good, which is very excellent for any organization to have no corrections or any measures that are recommended for it. Thank you.
I would note that it was a very clean report, and I think that reflects well on the backgrounds for the individuals that we have that are representing this organization. Is there any other questions or comments regarding the audit or financials? Is there anybody that has signed up to speak on this actionable item?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion regarding the 2013 financial statements and auditor's report?
I move to accept.
Mayor Wolgass moved to accept
and approve the audit as presented.
and present. Okay. And Councilwoman Della Isla, second. We can have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Bueller? Aye. Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Archer?
Aye.
Mayor Wolgass?
Yes.
Councilmember De La Isla? Yes. Councilmember Hiller?
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt?
Yes. That then moves us to item number 6.
Item number 6, overview of second quarter report, second quarter financials, and third quarter initiatives.
We're going to get our PowerPoint up here real quick. Good evening, I'm Doug Kinsinger. I'm the president and CEO at the Greater Topeka Chamber and of Go Topeka. And I'd like to start off just by mentioning that our prayers and condolences go out to Corporal Jason Harwood's family and to the members of our local law enforcement community. We know that was a tragic loss.
Thank you.
We'll go on to our report. And let me say that we're going to be starting in the very near future on our draft strategic plan. So I would ask you as members of JEDO, if you have suggestions, ideas, thoughts that you would like to share with us, we'd ask for those in the next few weeks so that we can work on considering those in our proposal for our draft of the strategic plan to you at our next meeting. So if you want to call or schedule a meeting or just sit down and talk, just give us a buzz and we'd love to hear your thoughts or ideas. I'd like to give you some words of economic encouragement. Actually, the good news is that our level of prospects has been increasing dramatically over this last quarter, and also the number of existing business projects that we're working on. And so you're beginning to see a lot more activity in the market, and actually you're seeing also our unemployment rate dropping, which is a good thing. So, also one of the things I wanted to just mention is we've been starting to work on a rebranding effort with a number of other parties, the city, the county, certainly Visit Topeka has been a strong player in that, and downtown Topeka also, trying to create one consistent branding message for our community as we go forward so that we can all be more effective together. And then lastly, we've spoken to you about our workforce development efforts, and those have been working extremely well for us. We'll probably be recommending to you in the very near future that we'd like to continue those and possibly even expand those programs with your approval and also with our board with Go Topeka's approval. So, to keep my comments brief, I told you I would be 2 minutes or less. What we're going to do is cover just a short summary of some of our second quarter activities, things coming up for our third and fourth quarter programs that are coming up. And to do that, I'm going to introduce real quickly the three people you'll hear from. And that will be Molly Howie, who will cover new market attraction, Joe Feldman, who will cover existing business and workforce development, and then Glenda Washington, who will handle our entrepreneurial and minority business development. So with no further ado, we'll go to Molly Howie.
Before we begin with Molly, is there any questions up to this point for Mr. Kissinger? No. All right.
Good evening. Okay, well, I'll start right off talking about second quarter activity. As Doug mentioned, we did have a lot of project activity in the second quarter with 17 new projects. They're kind of scattered with a few different industries, still a major focus on manufacturing and distribution. We did have some customer service focused projects come in also. So with the 17 new in the second quarter, that put our total project pipeline at 43 projects. Another thing that was completed in the second quarter was the infrastructure for Konza Fire Commerce Park. So perfect timing with Innovation Parkway, because as it was finished, I think, gosh, shortly after, we had a prospect out there, got to drive on the smooth road and check it all out, and we've got it all mowed and ready, and it looks really nice. So we're just working on signage for that to have that park complete. So after Innovation Parkway was finished, we brought in one prospect for a site visit in second quarter, and then right after the turn into third quarter, we brought 3 more in. So we've hosted a total of 4 companies since the beginning of second quarter for site visits, and those have been, we've seen a trend of them needing larger sites. Most of them have needed 100 acres or more, and then rail is becoming more important also. So of those 4 companies, 2 of them have actually been in the market twice. One needed 100 acres, one needs over 200, and they have been in the market twice to look at property for that project. And then a rail car repair facility who's been in the market twice as well. And then another prospect who came to us looking at Topeka as an expansion location, and they are just really in the early stages, so we met with them and talked to them about the assets and just kind of got them acquainted with what the Topeka market looks like. And then what's next? This is where we'll be working and focusing on prospects and these projects that we've had in the market over the next 2 quarters. But, you know, our focus is still going to be on building those relationships to keep that pipeline going. So the events that we go to, we met with about, let's see, what was it? It was on the last slide. I think 146 site consultants in the second quarter. And those events were mostly focused on events where you actually get to sit down with a site consultant face-to-face and spend 15 or 20 minutes just talking about Topeka. So those are the ones that we're focusing on more, where you can actually get in front of them and build the relationships and talk one-on-one instead of having to compete with a lot of other communities to try and get in and just shake their hand and exchange business cards. So that's still our major focus, is those relationships, building with companies and site consultants. We have a proprietary database that I think most of you are well aware of, and so we're still building that and plan to do some more targeted marketing towards consultants that are, for instance, that focus mostly on food processing. We'll do some more target marketing that's just focused on their industries to talk about the specific assets that relate to that. And then research. You've heard us talk about the target industry study that was done a few years ago, and we actually launched the beginning of that study last week. So we've contracted with the same company that did it last time to do an update and make sure that our industries that we're focusing on are relevant for what the assets are in Topeka. So we'll be having bi-weekly calls with them, and we will be probably reaching out to many of you to participate in meetings to talk about what Topeka has, if you think we're focusing on the right industries, and just kind of share information, and there will be some focus groups and things like that that they will be facilitating. Another kind of piece of research is the labor shed study, and that's in the very early stages, and we hope to have that completed in the first quarter of 2015. But that'll be a real deep dive look into the labor that we're pulling into the community and what it looks like, what the skills are, and if there are any gaps that we need to be working on. And then the last thing kind of in that category is a database, which is just an in-house database that we've kind of started to develop. We see the same things coming across in RFPs, the same questions as far as unemployment and unionization rates and things like that, but sometimes there are some kind of wild card questions that they come up with. So we're trying to build a database of just any and every question that we could think of that they're going to come up with, and have it as one main database with all the sources listed so that it's more efficient to respond to those RFPs in a timely manner, and so that all the sources are there in one spot also. Let's see, marketing. You've also heard us talk about the website, and along with what Doug was speaking about with the branding initiative, we have the RFP ready for the website and for new advertising for Go Topeka, but we have not sent them out because we're waiting for what the final branding initiative results are so that we can tie those in and make sure that everything is seamless and has that same look and feel. So as soon as the branding initiative is finished, we will be sending out RFPs for the update of the Go Topeka website and new ads for next year. And then sites. As I said earlier, Cons of Fire, the infrastructure is all finished. We just need to get the signage out there. And staff will continue to be in conversations about broadband, expanding that network throughout the community and making Topeka more attractive, because as we've said before, broadband is another one of those criteria that keeps showing up on those RFPs. And if we have it, where is it? And it's just becoming more and more important, as you all know. So we're all on target as far as new business attraction goes with the strategic plan at this point. So if anyone has questions, yes?
I do. If you could refresh all of us on what target industries we are looking at right now and as part of this study. And then if you could just give us a capsule on where we are with broadband.
Okay.
Thank you.
Target industries, you all know food manufacturing is one. And then what it was termed as when the target industry study was completed first was advanced manufacturing. And I kind of joke with site consultants now, it's really not advanced manufacturing anymore, it's just manufacturing. That's the way all manufacturing is these days. So that was another target industry. Also biosciences was one, and back office, and let's see, I think that clean energy. Clean energy was one also, just because of our proximity to Wichita and maybe providing some components for wind energy and things like that. And the next question was about?
Just a nugget on where we are with broadband as a community.
Okay. I myself have not been involved in those conversations, but I know that Scott has been in a lot of meetings with Shelley, and I don't know, Shelley, would you feel comfortable on giving that update?
Commissioner Bueller?
Commissioner Bueller.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Hiller. The Intergovernmental Cooperation Council has been focusing on broadband, and we've been part of the Kansas Broadband Initiative over the summertime.
we are presenting to the ICC on Tuesday morning, I believe, and checking back in with our partners first. And then there will be a rollout on the Heartland Visioning website and of the draft plan. And then feedback will be gathered by community members. So we've made some progress over the summer with lots of different stakeholders, including providers, school districts, businesses, the chamber. And so, yeah, we're making progress, but I want to stress, though, that this is a draft plan and we really want some feedback from the community. So I might just say Mayor Wolgast has also been involved in this as well.
And I know you mentioned briefly in passing, Topeka, Shawnee County is one of 5 entities in receiving, selected by the state to receive support funding for this first draft. And that's, I think, significant because that's giving us the boost to get out there and also show the community coming together in its support and its development. And I think it's very important. And they're doing a great job, the leaders of this commissioner and Gina Millsap.
Gina Millsap as well.
From the library.
Councilwoman Heller?
I love it when the good answers come from the front of the desk. Thank you both for your service on this. If we already know, can you tell us kind of what percentage of our Shawnee County population is adequately served by broadband now, and also how we compare to other communities?
That's a technical question. I'm not going to.
If you can't,
well, what I'm going to do is I'll provide that information to you, and we can get that out on the web. Again, that's information that's going to be put on the website, so all the public can review that, and we get feedback. But there's been a number of different studies that have been done, and so I don't have it right here in front of me. If I knew we were going to talk about it, I could bring it up, but and take more time than out of Molly's time. So, but I'll get that information to you. And just know that, again, that the ICC doesn't meet over the summer. This is our first chance to check back in with them September 16th, I think it is.
Ms. Howe, you were talking about the strategic plan. Now, the target markets, those fit within the strategic plan, correct?
Correct.
And as we talk about updates on the strategic plan, if the members of the JEDO County or the city, if they have ideas or thoughts, they would come to you to talk about updates for new businesses for the strategic plan updates, or is that?
Sure, and I mean, the timing of our target industry update we're not going to have results until first quarter of 2015. So that's going to be a little hard when it comes to our strategic plan of identifying those exact industries, but I mean, we can always refer to whatever industries are found in the results and focus on that.
Would I be correct in assuming that that's not limited to just city and county commissioners or council people? If there are people in the public, anybody who has ideas or thoughts on new businesses or new business development, they would come to you for those
Sure,
inputs.
and if there are people that would like to be part of those focus groups and those conversations with the consultant that's going to be running the study, let us know and we'll get you in on the groups.
Perfect. Are there any other questions for Ms. Howie? Councilman Schmidt.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Howe, you talked about the increase in interest in rail-served locations. Can you go into a little more depth into why we're seeing that and what that means?
I think it depends on the industry, but you know, I think as the fuel costs rise, that's obviously a given reason of why you'd want to use rail over diesel-fueled trucks. But another thing that some people don't think about is the aging workforce in truck drivers. And so a lot of companies are seeing trouble in finding qualified drivers. And so there aren't as many truck drivers available. So that's increasing probably the cost in the truck logistics also. So, you know, that's probably part of it. And then I think that with this particular set of prospects that we have in the pipeline right now, a lot of them are manufacturing, and so they're going to have a lot of larger components that it just makes more sense as far as weight and everything like that to bring it on rail.
One more question.
I was just going to follow up on that. So in talking to these prospects, does our position with rail and, the rail infrastructure that we have here, does that appear favorable?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
come to-
definitely. I mean, when I say that that's becoming increasingly important, instead of it being on the second round of questions, it's almost always on the first round of questions, even if they just have a handful. Is your site rail served? Is it shovel ready? Highway access, and then, some workforce questions. But as far as the site goes, rail served is becoming higher up on that list of priorities.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Commissioner. In regards to the strategic plan, I was thrilled to hear about the openness to public input. How do you plan on making the public aware of the means and methods that they can provide that input?
I myself haven't thought about how that is going to go about. Would anybody want to weigh in on that?
And Scott, if you would introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Scott Smathers. I work with Molly at Topeka. Basically, from the strategic plan point of view, in the past, what we've relied on, for the most part, are your constituents talking to you all and then passing it on to us. If the constituents want to talk to us direct, we'd love to hear from them as well, obviously, and they can always call our offices, and we'll be glad to talk to them or meet with them or whatever. But in most instances, what's happened in the past is most of it has come through you all from hearing direct with your constituents as you've been going on. But either way is fine.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Archer.
But Scott, you hear from the business community all the time.
Oh, sure,
I assume. So,
sure.
I mean, it's not just our constituents
No, sir.
bubbling
No,
up.
sir.
It's-
Absolutely. I mean, the strategic plan involves when we look at a strategic plan, we look at what we're hearing from the site selectors, what we've been hearing all year long, what we're hearing from our businesses. But what we were talking about also was getting input from you all, and that's what we were going on.
Are there any other questions? All right. Thank you, Molly.
Okay, what did I do? Keep going. Okay, there's a blank page in between. Kind of freaked me out a little bit. Hi, I'm Joe Feldman. I'm the Vice President for Existing Business and Workforce Development, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of some of the activity that's happened in the second quarter and what's been transpiring in the third quarter, and then we're going to kind of talk about how we're on track for the fourth quarter to wrap up the year. So this first page just gives you an overview of the business visits that were conducted in the second quarter. As you can see, we've had 38 with a total of 95 for 2014. We had 3 new projects open up, so our existing businesses are alive and doing well. They're doing projects, and as you can see, we had 8 for the year. But I'm more excited to talk more to you about some of the celebrations and updates that we've had in the community with our existing business. Stormont Vale Healthcare announced its affiliation with Mayo Clinic, and we are just absolutely thrilled about that for our citizens. They have access to some of the more difficult cases. The doctors at Stormont now can make that phone call, can link up through WebLink in order to get a second opinion on some of those cases. So we're thrilled about that. Home Depot Rapid Deployment Center, last year they were awarded what they call their Gold Cup Award. What that Gold Cup Award is they are the highest producing facility in their fleet of plants. And that is a phenomenal achievement for them. Well, guess what? They got it again this year. So we're thrilled, and we're thrilled to announce that to you. Really speaks highly of our workforce that we have available in this community and how they are very much have an excellent work ethic. Bimbo Bakeries, they went through a transition with some of their management staff. Jeremiah Tillman, who was the manager over there, actually went to and was promoted into Kansas City. We have a new plant manager out there. His name is Dennis Sample. I'd just suggest if you are out in that area to stop in and say hi. He really is a fantastic gentleman. I'm looking forward to working with him in the near future. And Frito-Lay, our Frito-Lay plant just continues to invest. They had the LEED Gold certification several years back, and they just recently invested $9 million in their Funyuns line.
Everybody loves Funyuns. Anyway, they have more than doubled their production there, and they actually hired 4 new people. And so it's a great announcement. We're looking forward to an opportunity to do a celebration with them. So look for that to come out in the news. And I have been assured by one of their representatives at the company that we meet with on a regular basis that new investment in 2015 is already on the slate and is planning on coming through. So, all right, we're going to go on to workforce development in the second quarter. We held an HR managers meeting where we invited several of our largest employers to come, the human resource directors to come, and it was really about us not only telling them about resources that are in the community to help them, one, find people that are skilled, but also to maybe have some incentives for hiring, whether they're disabled individuals or whether they fit into there's incentives out there for hiring people that have not only disabilities but some military individuals. And so we talked to them about that. We also talked to them about the work keys testing. Talked about their Work Ready certificate, which actually is given to all of our high school students, the high schools that participate with that program. And we were working to educate them on how that certificate can really help them to make better hires so that when an individual comes to the door, they're more well-suited for the position that that hiring manager is all about. And then at the end of that meeting, we just sat and listened. We listened, what are your issues? Where are your skill gaps happening? How can we maybe assist you as a community in developing some of our programs, our training programs that can help you find that more well-suited employee? So that meeting was very successful. We will continue holding those on an annual basis and more as needed and continue to talk about those resources that are out there. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And the MTech Workforce AID program and the MTech 2 Workforce AID program. The MTech program was really birthed out of the food manufacturers that really were struggling trying to find people with some real basic skills. Through communications with those employers on those one-on-one visits, we brought all the food manufacturers together. If you remember right, we had 5 companies that participated in that. That program actually was very, very successful, so successful that our general manufacturers like Goodyear and Novia and others and PTMW actually said, hey, we want to do this too. So the state of Kansas actually had what's called AID, workforce money. And we brought like we always do, we bring our resource partners to the table and we say, okay, how can we get this going? What's available? What resulted from that affiliation, that partnership, was scholarship money through this AID program. And we actually have scholarships, 74 students through that program. And the really good news is 21 of them are working today. They were hired. And what's really exciting about this program, it's not just the manufacturers that these students are groomed to go into. We've got other companies that are hiring these individuals because guess what? They know about clocking in. They know about showing up on time. So there's a lot of soft skills that are being built, not only the hard skills, but the soft skills in this program. So it's been very successful. As we move forward, the state and WashTech are talking about, and the businesses are talking about having full scholarships moving forward with the businesses actually paying a portion of that tuition for that student to go through. So I'll keep you informed as we move forward and let you know how those programs continue to develop. Just real quickly, manufacturers in the classroom. I reported to you at the end of the first quarter that we were testing this in some of our high schools. And guess what? The students were great in telling us exactly what we needed to change. And so we've been working on that. Our plan this year is, in the first quarter of 2015, is actually to go into the high schools and start presenting to the class about manufacturing careers, that they're not the old pick and pack and everything's robotics and touchscreen technology. And I think we're going to get that awareness raised with those high school students. So Excuse me, I'm so sorry. The scholarship program launch, I reported to you in the first quarter. I wanted to let you know that as of today, we've had 28 scholarships that have been dispersed in this program, and that resulted in about $11,000. We will continue to move this program forward into this school year, the 2014-2015 school year, and we'll look to have what our hopes are is close to about 100 students that will benefit from that scholarship program. So I thank you for your investment in that. All right. I wanted, even though we're not completely done with the third quarter and fourth quarter, I wanted to give you some additional updates here. We've reported before, the main focus of the program is those existing businesses, providing assistance, helping them with growth activities. We did open an additional 3 projects. Again, it always seems like we get to the end of the year and projects really start to kind of crank up a little bit. So I'm excited about these new 3 projects. We also try to engage our local businesses in events that are occurring that relate to their industries. There is what's called a manufacturing comeback event. It's actually part of the Andy Chandler lecture series that's held over at KU School of Business. He provides these lecture series yearly. And what we did is we sent out an invitation to about 27 businesses and offered that we would love for them to come. They would get preferred seating. And so we have put that out there, and we will be attending that. That is September the 12th over in the Lead Center in Lawrence, Kansas. Alrighty, fourth quarter plans. Wrapping this up for existing business and workforce development, we are well on schedule to making the 140 business visits for this year. We are currently working to schedule another corporate headquarter visit. So work has begun on that, and we'll continue to get another corporate headquarter visit in. And then work is continuing on the EMBD business connection with some of our leading employers. Just met with another business the other day and trying to not only assist them with incentives that they qualify for, but then also seeing if there's some connections we can start to make for those smaller businesses into doing business with some of our larger industries. Work keys testing, that's kicking off here very soon. In fact, I had a meeting over at Topeka Public School District yesterday, and we're starting to talk about getting their students registered so that we can administer these 3 tests, which is reading, locating information, and math. And upon taking all 3 of those tests, the student does receive a certificate that's called Work Ready. It's signed by our governor. And that is a nationally recognized certificate that will take them not only in Topeka, but nationally as well. So, and then in concert with that, we continue to meet with employers talking about that certificate. Many of our employers aren't aware of the benefit that they can get off that certificate. If you flip that certificate over, it goes through what things that student or that potential employee qualifies for under those certain numbers that are on the front of the certificate. They get ranked for each of those 3 tests. So I continue to attend SHRM meetings, which is our Human Resource National Association that meets here in Topeka. That is a great resource to me, and it gets me engaged with those employers on a monthly basis. So we continue to market that out to them. So, and guys, I think that's it. Any questions I can answer for anybody?
Joe Feldman, I'd like to start by saying thank you very much for highlighting the successes and the celebrations.
Yeah.
I think that, it's been said a lot of times that we don't take enough time to really celebrate when we have successes. It's too easy to sometimes to highlight when things don't work instead of when they do, and I'm glad that you started right off with a couple of examples that have worked in the celebrations in the community.
Thank you.
You said that you listened to the companies to identify what the skill gaps were.
Mm-hmm.
Can you report or kind of give us an indicator of what are some of the skill gaps that Topeka or Shawnee County has?
Sure. And I'll tell you, Commissioner Cook,
what we hear more than anything is the soft skills, or what they call workability skills these days, and that's showing up on time. You know, how to communicate with your supervisor on the workforce floor. You know, what do I wear to work? Do I have to be there all day long, or can I leave at noon? And believe it or not, those are the skills that we're really missing. Some of the other skills that we're missing are just the basics math skills, like being able to read a tape measure. I mean, some of those really simplistic things you think, well, you know, shouldn't we have those? But those are really a lot of the skill gaps that we're missing. Manufacturers, of course, you know, we've addressed that issue with this training course that's been developed out at Washtec. But for the most part, it's soft skills. Show up on time, you know, wear, you know, great looking clothes, be able to communicate on the floor, and be able to problem solve. I mean, a lot of companies, you know, it used to be they'd stand and, you know, in manufacture, you'd stand in one spot and you'd pick and pack, and that's all you did all day long, and that one spot was your responsibility. Well, now many times individuals are having to manage, you know, an area that's 500 foot long. And so problem-solving skills is another one that they are really missing. And so that's kind of in a nutshell. Wasn't anything kind of, you know, splashy or, gee, we need to, you know, get this equipment or anything along those lines, but a lot of automation.
Are there things that we can do with this board, and I don't know if working with not just Washburn Tech, but even at a more basic level with the high schools. Is that something that Go to Pika can really work with? Is that something that we need to look at developing into our strategic plan?
As far as going into the high schools and talking
Yes.
about the soft skill needs, what the importance are for
Yes.
showing up on time and those type of things. You know, that's something that really honestly, Commissioner Cook, we haven't talked about going. I mean, we've been so focused on going into the schools and trying to make them understand the great careers that are available in manufacturing, but we've not really addressed that. That's something that we can certainly explore and see if there's opportunities there.
I know that it seemed like just common sense to me that you would show up and work all day, but sometimes if that's what we're missing,
Yeah.
but anyway, I digress. If there's
No, not really.
Councilwoman Del Isla.
Thank you. It is extremely exciting to hear everything that is being done right now with the high schools. And as I was thinking of all of this, my question is, what has been done to work with organizations, for example, like Heartland Works and the Workforce Center? Because there's a huge focus, which is wonderful for the high school students, but what about all the adults that are living below the median income, that are struggling to try to find a job and have the needs for these same type of tools, so that we have ready workers right now that may be unemployed that are needing this type of education?
Yes, I completely hear you. And I will tell you that the MTech program, when it was the food manufacturers, because they were our first one, that's the pilot project is what we called it, because, you know, pilots are kind of messy and you kind of morph your way through those. We actually engaged the Workforce Center to start looking for individuals that we could bring into that program. And so they actually were the feeding source for us to have those students get into class. We did some marketing out on some of the radio stations trying to get in. Also, Tim Clothier and Washburn Tech actually met with NetReach, talked about the programs. I met with Glenda's Minority and Women-Owned, I'm going to mess up the title of the group. Thank you very much. I knew I was going to blow it. But I met with that group and handed out brochures and talked about the programs, and if they knew of anybody that was interested, directed them either to Washtec or to the Workforce Center. So that's kind of how we, now could we do more? Absolutely. And Michelle, if you have ideas on how we can better engage to get more word out about those two programs, I would love to hear from you, and we will certainly do so.
Absolutely. NIAs are a great source.
NIAs, yes. That's right.
And the other
That'd be
suggestion
great.
that I was going to make was, I had a conversation earlier with Glenda today,
Uh-huh.
and one of the things was NetReach. They have a huge area of service, and they have the establishment to be able to be right there in the heart of where the needs are at.
Yes.
So,
Yes, and thank you. My plan is that Tim and I will talk about how we can get more engaged and get that word out and start letting people know about these programs, especially if there's scholarships available. There's a small fee that the student has to pay, and I believe it's for some of the work-ready testing and such. But, I mean, it's very, very minimal, very minimal. So, you're welcome.
Are there other questions or comments? Councilwoman Hiller?
Well, right along the lines of that discussion, I'm excited to see the Workforce AID program as well as the scholarships. I'm outcomes oriented though, so I'm curious, and any answer is okay, but you mentioned that you'd had 74 students through the first program and that 21 had been hired. And then you mentioned 28 scholarships. I'm not sure where we went with those. What are your goals and strategies regarding those individuals getting jobs?
The remaining that have not been hired?
Yeah, or just overall, what's your goal in the program? What's your expectation? Not everybody makes it. I understand that.
Right.
I wasn't sure how many of these 74 completed the program or what your expectation was for being able to match them up.
I think Wash Tech has, again, pilot. Let's remember the word pilot. As we've moved through this, we've kind of learned some things along the way. We tried to make that first class really flexible so that people that maybe needed a little more time could take a few more weeks to get through the program. And what we found is that didn't work really well because some were taking multiple weeks. And so I think as we've moved through the program, we found one to try to emulate the work environment a little bit more succinct and then really make them accountable because that's what's going to happen when they get in the workforce. So our goal is, we would love to have a goal of 100% are going to graduate this and 100% are going to get employed, but that's just not realistic. That's probably a question that I would want to talk to Tim and Wash Tech about to really understand fully what does that look like. Now, the scholarship program is separate. Those scholarships are being utilized for those high-demand careers. And it wasn't just for new students coming in. If a student was already into an educational program, that scholarship could be awarded to them as well. So those are again, that scholarship program was really launched for what we call high-demand careers, which are part of the AST program, the mechanical, manufacturing, financial services, those types of careers, healthcare, those type of careers. So,
Councilwoman Hiller.
If I may then, in that case where you were delivering students to open jobs, were you able to meet the need on the employer end?
Yes. We have met on several occasions with the participating employers in these programs. And in fact, we just had a meeting about 4 weeks ago where we point blank asked, what have you found from the individuals you've hired? What have you found from the individuals you've interviewed? One of the things we found is some of them weren't interviewing as well as they needed to. And so now we've implemented a process, the AID program, I should say, has implemented a process to where we have an agency that's helping kind of groom them to answer the questions and to interview well. And so what we found is the employers really are very content, very happy with the results that the program has produced. So will it change as we go forward? Yes, it will change. It will morph as we move forward. But right now it seems to be hitting the mark with those employers. They're thrilled, absolutely.
Well, and particularly if in both of these you're getting the really long-term at-risk or unemployed adult.
Yes.
That's important too. Thank you.
It's exciting. It really is.
Are there any other questions? All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Glenda Washington, Vice President for Entrepreneurial and Minority Business Development. I'm going to run through second and third quarter, and then we'll talk a little bit about the prospects for fourth quarter. So second quarter was really, really hot. What we wanted to do was we wanted to put ourselves in front of the market. What had happened was there was a gap last year when we didn't have a staff person in place. And so that kind of, when you have a gap, people kind of realize that, well, maybe they're not there anymore. So we've been doing a lot of outreach and making sure that people knew that we were there. I provided one-on-one technical assistance to about 38 people in second quarter. What we wanted them to know was that we were there to support them, that we were regaining our momentum, and that we were strong enough to kind of help them go from stage 1 to stage 2 in their business. We also looked at getting that message of the loan opportunities out there, because what had happened was we had a loan fund that wasn't being used and wasn't being promoted. And I thought, what a great opportunity for entrepreneurs in this community. So our responsibility was to do some outreach, get that information out there, and continue to go out and market this loan pool, this loan fund. We had an active pipeline of about 9 people. Out of that 9, there were 3 that submitted a true application. And out of that, third quarter, we were able to issue a loan. So my first loan, yay, me. I'm really excited. We do have, if you're looking in magazines around the city, if you're looking in the newspaper, if you're looking online, we are putting ourselves out there. You'll see a lot of information about our department and what we're doing. And so a lot of times what you don't see does hurt you. But we're putting ourselves out there, and you'll see it in our local magazines, our local newspaper. You'll see me everywhere. I'm trying to get out there, and I'm trying to tell the message that you do have an advocate in the community to assist you with small business development. Now, so we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, but Makerspace has been really a hot ticket for everyone. Everybody's talking about it. There's a lot of people in the back there that are really excited tonight. We pulled together, along with Jerry Starkey, we pulled together a number of individuals that a marketing specialist is what we want to call them. And they do this for a living. And we asked them to come up with a name of this, at that time, co-work Makerspace hybrid. And we are looking at a spot at 712 Kansas Avenue. So after throwing around a bunch of names and putting things on the wall and tearing up papers and, looking, growling across the table from each other, we decided that the name of the space was going to be 712 Innovations. So we have actually named our baby, and we're feeling really proud about that. Meeting with potential investors. Now, we knew that we could not grow this child without having some funds. And so what we're doing now is we're going out to meet individuals and talk to them about 712 Innovations, about the opportunity to invest in 712, and about the impact that it will make on the community in the future. So in third quarter, what we generally don't do is, in the summer, you can't get anybody to come to a workshop. So we decided, let's give them the summer off. But third quarter, we're going to bring them back, and we're going to do more education. So what you see before you are our classes for Fast Track, New Venture, Breakfast Buzz, all of the activity that we wanted to do to educate entrepreneurs. So Fast Track, we have about 18 entrepreneurs in that class, and they meet on Monday nights. Feel free to drop in on Monday evening from 6 to 8:30, 5:30 to 8:30 if you have the opportunity. But these are individuals. A couple of them have businesses already, but these are individuals that are wanting to start businesses. They got great ideas. It's all over the place, and we try to focus and harness them and kind of give them some guidance on writing that business plan, understanding your financials. We have professionals come in every week to do a part of the presentation, and then we do the training at the end of the evening. We have started on Monday night was a child care business builder. We have about 8 or 10 individuals in that. And then later on this month, we'll have Who Owns the Ice House? And you've heard me talk about that entrepreneur mindset program that we have. So these are our training programs, our classroom workshops that we do, and we're doing them all at this point from September, and we should be graduating all of these individuals by the first week in December. We've also, as I told you, community outreach is essential whenever you want to build consensus and let everyone know that you're basically in their corner as far as small businesses are concerned. So I say we because Mary Ann, who is not here, is an integral part of what I do. So the two of us work this department, and we've also been out and about meeting with individuals in the community. There's a group of African American business owners that invited me over to meet with them because they wanted to just talk through how can you really help us. And so I met with them for about 2 hours. They took me out in the sun, and it was probably about 99 degrees that day, and I had on a suit, and it was a great experience. But I really was able to hear some of their thought about how we can help build the African American business population. Also, we're in discussions with 501. I told you before that we were going to meet with them to build this new program to train individuals how to do business with 501 so that they can take advantage of the bond issue dollars. And so talked with Larry today. We're still in the process of them getting everything they need in place. Once they get their program in place, then we'll sit down and we'll determine how we're going to begin to promote the how to do business with 501 part of that. Tomorrow we were supposed to be hosting the acting director for the district for the Small Business Administration. He said that he heard that we were on fire for small business in this community. So really, that he's all the way up in Kansas City, Missouri. He heard that Topeka was on fire for small business. That really made my heart sing. I was really excited about that. I was going to host this man, bring him around to meet you all, and he called me late this afternoon and said he had to reschedule. But when he does reschedule, I would really love for him to meet you all. Let him know how you support small business in this community. We are also working on program marketing. Again, you're going to hear radio ads. You're going to see television ads. You're going to see all kinds of outreach that we're doing, marketing the programs that need to be put into the community so that individuals can take advantage of it. We also had a great opportunity to work with NOTO. We, meaning Carl, Klein, and myself. We're working with NOTO to make sure that the entrepreneurs there don't fall through the cracks. And so what we're doing is we're putting together a survey, kind of find out what their needs are so that we can develop something that will help strengthen them as well. So we'll be working with them starting out. We met with them briefly yesterday, gave them a sample survey for them to tell us what, kind of what they want. And then we'll do a full-blown survey to everyone in NOTO. And after we do that, then we'll come back and we'll develop some program around what their needs are. Now, fourth quarter, we will have a lot going on as well. We will continue to work with NOTO on the outreach that I mentioned. Hopefully, we can finalize everything for 712 Innovations because we're looking at a goal of opening it January of, hopefully it doesn't snow, but January of 15. Complete all the training for our graduates and our participants in our program. And again, I will send you an invitation so that you can come to the graduations. Co-host the Business Opportunity Fair with Kansas Department of Commerce. Kansas Department of Commerce and I have been, the representative from the KDOC, have been working on this Business Opportunity Fair where we bring in the buyers from the public and private sector and bring in entrepreneurs so that they can actually find out, how do I get the opportunity to do business with you? What is it that you need? Do you have a certification process? Do you have a supplier diversity program? How do I, as a little small business, get to do business with you, big business? And so we're doing that training. We're doing various kinds of workshops during that day, and then they get to sit down with the buyers and talk through what they can bring to the table. Again, finalizing the 501 training. The winner of the pitch contest, that piece is going to be critical because we have entered a relationship with the School of Business out at Washburn. And we've asked them to help us get people excited about entrepreneurship in this community. So we are having a pitch contest. They're asking their classes to create a business concept, a workable business concept, and come out to, I think it's October, come out in October, do your first pitch. And if you are successful in that first pitch, you go to the second round. And if you're successful in that second round, we'll take the top 6 and we'll help them develop their business. So we will help them through counseling, any kind of consultancy that they may need. We will provide them with a little stipend to start that business, and we'll help them along the way. What we're trying to do is get them motivated, again, about starting small businesses in this community. I really want the kids or the young people, young professionals at Washburn to consider staying in Topeka and starting their own business. And that's how we grow our community. We are hosting a breakfast buzz in November, and then finally, we are announcing the Women's Initiatives winners. And a lot of you have been selected as special people special women who have made a difference in this community. And so we want to do is celebrate you. So at September 30th, we will be celebrating the winners of the Women's Initiative. And that's my report for the evening. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Ms. Washington, before
Yes,
you leave,
sir.
I know you had the opportunity to speak last night to the
Yes.
Washburn Law School,
Yes.
talking about small businesses development, and so I got to hear it last night. How much do we have ready to loan to small
We
business?
have about $750,000 to lend. And I want to get it out there as soon as possible. So if you have a small business and you need some assistance, or if you're starting a small business and we can see that your plan is solid, we will loan you the money.
All right. There are the questions for Ms. Washington. All right. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
I think that draws us now to the next action item, number 7.
Item number 7, coworker makerspace proposal.
That was a short trip.
Round trip. So this is what we're really excited about. First, I want to apologize to you. Wait a minute. What did I do? Oh, no. This is all new. So you don't have this? You don't have the Makerspace presentation? Oops. Okay. I apologize. This was supposed to be in our packet, but I can go through 712 Innovation for you because I live and breathe 712 along with the individuals in the back of the room. 712 Innovation, and I apologize again for not having the slides. I thought they were in our packet. Our mission is to create a welcoming and productive environment where entrepreneurs have the opportunity to grow and create businesses using all of the resources they need. So we are creating, our mission is creating an environment where everybody who wants to be an entrepreneur can take advantage of an environment to grow. Our vision is to enhance the vitality of the community by creating a hybrid makerspace, co-work space. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Now, we are unique. Does anybody have this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we have that.
Attached to our agenda were the
Okay. Okay.
presentation
You don't
summary.
have this? Okay. You don't have it.
No, they don't.
We just have budgets.
They just have.
Right, we have a budget. We don't have anything else, though. I don't.
Yeah, I apologize. I assumed that it was in there, and that's my fault. We are unique. 712 Innovations is a combined makerspace and co-work space. The co-work space part of it is a shared working environment that will allow individuals to take advantage of all the amenities of an office. So rather than you going to having to work out of your home, you can come into an environment where there are others that think just like you, that have an idea going on and want to interact with you. They are actually working with you to make sure, hopefully, that you're successful. 5 copies. 712 Innovation is an innovation center, so we're looking at an opportunity to create businesses, to develop businesses in this environment. It's jointly funded. It's a public-private funded facility. And let me tell you why it's public-private at the moment. We are recipients of a U.S. Small Business Administration grant. And that grant is a $50,000 grant that will allow us to open the 712 Innovation Center. That grant, you may have the letter on the back of your, do you have that letter announcing? We were one of, well, actually there were 800, that's the letter. There were 800 that submitted application to this grant process. They dwindled it down to 200, and out of that 200, they awarded 50. And we were in the 50 that they awarded. There were Lawrence, Kansas, I think, was the only other in Kansas that received one of these grants. And then over in Missouri, there was one other community. But we feel really privileged because we were in competition with the whole United States of America. So bravo to us, Topeka. We are a public education, we have a public education component where we're looking at how we can train individuals. That's going to be the heart of our effort, is making sure that we reach out to the rest of the community. We are unique. We have the co-work space in the back, the maker space. Jared will probably talk more about the maker space, but the maker space in the back is going to be a space where you have the opportunity to go in, touch, feel, create, and invent items, things, stuff. An item may be, I go in and I create a robot, or I go in and I take, some of my tools or equipment and I build a thing. We will make sure that it's totally inclusive, though. And so you have to realize that it is not a makerspace just for a certain group of people. It is for the entire community. When we think about what we can do as a community, we look at other communities that have these maker spaces and these co-work spaces in them. It is really a great opportunity for Topeka. Now, we have collaboration across the board. We have partners like BA Designs, the City of Topeka, Cox Communication, which is our first major donor, Downtown Topeka, Go Topeka, HTK Architects, and he did the little mock-up in there. Zach did that. The U.S. Small Business Administration, Sprout Communication, Washburn Small Business Development Center, Washburn Tech, and Washburn University. Westar has actually made a donation. WIBW has helped us with our marketing, and they will continue to do that, I'm sure. We believe that all of us are smarter than any of us. And so working together, creating a collaborative environment, helps build what we need here in Topeka. Now, preparation. There was an experienced team that put this idea and this concept together. A lot of it came before me, but as we began to gel, we dwindled down to a certain group of people, and they all have responsibility. We had small business leading the effort, and small business was doing a lot of the outreach. Site visits were done to several communities. We visited Des Moines, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. I visited Jacksonville. We took the best from each of those markets, and we put it into 712. So what you'll see at the end of the day is a sort of a compilation of a lot of good maker spaces and co-work spaces. Mining the gap. Now, most communities mine that gap, whatever that gap is, look at it, look at how they can fill that gap. And so we're working on is we're looking at what is the opportunity in our community to strengthen the overall entrepreneurial environment. We're working to reach the underserved market. You'll find a lot of processes going on for us to reach the underserved market. We're really working really close with Gina over the library because she has access to the majority of the people in the population. Everybody here, as I said before, seems to use the library. It's very well used. And so if you have a library card, you're going to have access to the co-work maker space. Okay? So don't think that we're not including everybody. We're looking at opportunity. Gina's also said if they don't have a library card, guess what? We're going to place a person in your facility so that when they need a library card and they need access, there you go.
See?
When they need access, then we will have an individual in there to create a library card for you. You have access. So we're working on we're looking at every angle, a number of different ways to do the outreach for this. We're looking at bridging the gap between industry. We will be working with Jo and her existing business people. We will be working with students at all the high schools and universities. And we will be working with the workforce, entire workforce, and entrepreneurs in the community to make sure that we bridge that gap between industry and community. Now, phasing up the project, we are looking at the joint effort between public and private. We know that we can't do it by ourselves. So we've done a number of things to make sure that this is a solid project. Phase one is research and analysis. We had to do that. We know that we wanted to make this the best project and introduce to you the best piece of a compilation of different projects. And so we did our research. That's complete. We developed a business plan, and we looked at how we could build collaborative partnerships. We established a base of financial resources because we knew that in order to come to you to ask you to support us, we had to be out there getting money for ourselves on our own. And then we also look at marketing and promotion. How can we do strong marketing and promotion to get it out to the public, and so the public can take advantage of it, and so they knew that it was totally inclusive. We also looked at operational funding. We knew we had to have ongoing funding, so we're looking at how we can get continuous operational funding, and then also fundraising. That will be ongoing. We will have someone in place to make sure that he or she is working to continue to raise money for operations, for program management, program development, and project management at 712. Now, there are 4 different ways that are levels of membership that we're putting together. One is the pro membership. That's a secured, dedicated space where if I want my own office there's going to be a door, and I could have my office, but I would have a 12-month lease, sort of. It wouldn't be a lease, a 12-month membership, I should say. So that pro member is going to be a $300 membership. The regular members, those that would have a monthly membership, can come and go as well as they please. That is going to be a $30 membership. And then the part-time members will be sponsored by somebody, or they would come through the library. We'll continue to have sponsored classes, trainings, updates, so that individuals will know what those opportunities are. Now we're at the 712 innovation budget. And I want to make sure you all are looking at the budget. So our startup expenditures are as follows. Leasehold improvements, equipment, furniture and fixtures, tables and equipment for the makerspace. Our total fixed assets will be $207,564. Our operating capital, with all of the things that we need to operate the business, will equal, with that equals $257,724,000. Our sources of funding, as I mentioned before, was Cox Communication, BA Design, and the Small Business Grant. That totals about $101,700. Remember I told you there was a gap. We do have a gap, and our gap is $156,024. Now what I'm asking you is to take a look at the budget and then consider this. We need to make sure that we reach our entrepreneurs in this community. We need to make sure that we look at what the need is as far as the young entrepreneurs. A lot of them are saying, I need a space that we can go and we can be creative, we could do some outreach, we can do some things that will help us grow. So we're looking at is how we can fill this gap of $156,024. Our potential revenue sources are as follows. Currently, I have $55,000 in my EMB budget that's set aside for entrepreneur development. A couple of months ago, you gave Scott Smathers $100,000 and you said, okay, help us develop entrepreneurs in the community. So we're asking for $60,000 of that. And then we have a rollover budget almost every year. We're asking for $41,024 of that. That would be our $156,024. And so we're not asking you to give us any additional money. We're asking you to use this existing money that we already have to support this project that we know will work in the community. So as we look at this, what's on the horizon for 712 or for Topeka? We will be the heart of innovation, I believe, for the region. We'll have a new product that's out there that's second to none, that hasn't been done before as far as the hybrid is concerned. We will see new products and services realized as we continue to grow, as people get access to use this facility. We will marketing the space. We will continue to market the space to existing members. And so what you'll see is the individual that's responsible for the 712 Innovations out marketing the space to members, out doing fundraising, asking for dollars and support. We will have partners across the county. We will have the library, Network Kansas, Small Business Development Center, Go Topeka. We will work with individuals in public housing. We will work with individuals in the community to make sure that we reach every opportunity we reach the members, potential members. Funding 712 Innovations will result in a community culture that embraces and propels living and learning. And we believe that this is the right time for it. This is the perfect storm for something like 712 Innovations in this community. I believe in 712. I think that this is what we need for Topeka. I believe that this is an opportunity for us to show the young entrepreneurs that we really care about their growth and we really care about them staying in our community. I believe that the U.S. Small Business Administration wouldn't have given us $50,000 if they didn't think that we were worth it. And I believe that we're at a place in our life, as far as Topeka is concerned, we're at a place in the history of Topeka where it can now truly embrace entrepreneurship through something like 712. So I believe in 712, and I need you to believe as well.
Mrs. Washington,
Yes.
I've got my library card.
Yes.
I'm ready to go.
Come on.
What kind of
Yes.
tools or equipment is 712 Innovations going to have on site or available to the?
Well, someone else will speak to the tools and equipment.
Okay.
They're more educated around that, the tools that will be in the makerspace. But as far as the technical assistance, we'll be working with the Small Business Development Center. We will be working with Washburn University and Washburn Tech to deliver some training, some cutting-edge creative kinds of training. We will be hopefully using their professors to help us as well. So
it's not going to be just a place to come in and play
No.
around with the power tools that may be
it will not. So I don't want you to think that. Remember now, the co-work side of it is the shared working environment, the office side of it. And then the makerspace on the back side is where you can play with those tools.
Okay.
You can have access to all of that.
But in the pursuit of development of a new business or
Right.
idea.
Well, we hope. We do hope. That is our hope, is that they will develop new businesses and that from the, at the end result, at the end of the day is, look at Topeka. Look what came out of Topeka.
Are there questions? Mayor Wolgast.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And this is exciting,
Mhm.
very, very supportive, interested. On the sheet that you provided,
Yes.
on the left, it says, and I just want to clarify
Yes.
on the funding, says these are the startup expenditures, the innovation budget, and that's really to get underway. Then on the right is your operating budget for the next
The right
3 years.
is my annual operating budget for the next few years. What you will have is the monthly expenditures, and then you'll have an annual for the first, second, and third year.
All right. And those on the left, the startup expenditures, those are what you see really this is September between
Right.
now and perhaps the end of the year to
Absolutely.
get it up and running.
Up and running.
And the money you're asking us to approve tonight is to help in that area.
The money
Is
that I'm
correct?
asking you for tonight will help in the startup phase, and it will also help us, with the lease and all the equipment that we need to start to open our doors.
Yeah, the budget there on the left is
Exactly.
really what we're looking at tonight.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Other questions? Mr. Archer?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I like the idea too, and you're just asking to reallocate funds
Right.
within your
All we're
budget.
doing is moving it.
How many customers do you think you'll be able to service at any given time?
Well, in the co-work space, up front, we could probably do about 15 to 20 at a time. There'll be seating, I think, scattered all around, and you gotta, if you've never seen a co-work space, they sit anywhere.
Okay.
So we could do 15 or 20, and then there are gonna be offices on the side. And in the back, we could probably do, I think Zach, we said about 30, 40, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. All right, sounds good, thank you.
Councilman Schmidt?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Washington. As you know, I've been pushing for us to move in this direction
Thank
since you got here,
Yes,
which was shortly after I got here.
yes.
And so I'm extremely excited about this. I can think of a lot worse things than to be known for than to be a hub for inventors and entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that we're pushing the envelope and moving forward this. I think this is a completely proper use of the funds that you're asking this body to reallocate. This is what they were intended for, and it's clearly within the outlines of the budget that we approved last year. The question I have is similar to Commissioner Cook's question on the equipment. I can see, as somebody who likes to tinker around on things a lot myself, that the promotion of what kind of opportunities and what kind of equipment we have, whether they're 3D printers or that kind of stuff, is going to be critically important. But I think just as important is to understand the process of how you guys are going to decide what equipment to put in there.
We actually have inventory list already of what equipment to put in there. So we do have your 3D printers, and we do have, those other pieces. We don't have cutting saws or anything like that, but we do have laser printers, 3D printers, those kinds of things. I can share that inventory list with you all, so you can kind of take a look at it if it's important.
Yeah, or as we come back maybe for the update from the third quarter meeting.
Well, I just wanted to follow.
Yes.
I'm not so much interested
Right.
in the inventory list, but how you came up and how you will continue
Oh,
to
how
come
did
up
we-
with what kind of inventory is needed, what kind of inventory is going to.
So
serve
we
most innovation.
used the entrepreneurs in the community that came up with the concept to say what it is that you need, what do you want in there, and so they provided us with a list of that. We also looked at other maker spaces and co-work spaces across the country to see what they had as well. And so while we don't have everything that they have, we will have the majority of what they have. It's a good place for them to get started.
Okay, that sounds
Yes.
great. Thank you.
I do have a follow-up question. Do you see this as kind of the first of maybe some different focus on innovation spaces? Why I'm saying that is I'm familiar with the Glacial Hills has a
Yes.
food processing kitchen.
Yes.
Where entrepreneurs for
Yes,
food come
yes,
together, and it's
Yes.
so I mean there's a great deal of energy here, and I just think this might just be the beginning, and then some different focus then
Yes.
on.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. That's all I can say.
Okay. Okay.
Right. All I can say. Yes, we have, actually Clark Coco went on a trip with us to take a look at an innovation center up at, I think it was one of the universities. We looked at 2 or 3 in Kansas City to kind of get an idea of what they looked like. So while I'm not doing it right now, I'm taking a look at what the possibilities can be. But we did look at that because what I found was there are a lot of people in the community that want to do catering, that want to start a business, that want that research to help them get their product out there and make it better. But we don't have it in the community. So I believe that this is one of the first opportunities to kind of begin that culture, that mindset in the community.
There's, just as an example, Glacial Hills, RC&D, and Horton, contact Gary, and there's a central kitchen
Excellent.
that they have there, and it's a good space to, it's very small.
Yes.
It's a good start, but it might be worth it.
The Small Business Development Center, I think, works really closely with them as well, and Carl has talked about it, so
Good.
very familiar with it. I haven't visited, but I will.
Yeah, but this sounds just very exciting, and I can tell we have a good group of people in the back there that are ready
Those
to get
people
this
in the
up and
back are
going.
extremely excited. They may look very stoic, but they're extremely excited about this opportunity to bring something like 712 to the community. I just think that for us, it's going to be cutting edge. I believe that now it puts us, why would the SBA all of a sudden begin to look at us?
Yeah.
Why? They're looking at, what the potential is in this marketplace. When we applied for the grant, what they said in the grant definition was that the East Coast was actually producing more of these kind of centers for entrepreneurs than the Midwest. And there were very few out in the Midwest. And so we felt we had a good chance, but we didn't know how well we were going to. This process happened, I think, in about 5 weeks. So we applied, we got to the second round, we had to do something else. We got to the third round, and one day I'm looking through my email, and I'm like, who is this Kimberly person? And I opened the email, and she was like, congratulations. So it was really Christmas for us. It helped us know that this was what we were supposed to do.
It's great work.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Hiller.
Outcomes kind of question again. Is there something that is there a model that we should expect in terms of how many years or months, whatever it is, it typically takes a center like this to mature, let's say, and begin really producing? And are there some goals that you have for the numbers of entrepreneurs that would be involved or actual sales at a certain point?
We do. We have a detailed budget that has all of that information in it. For example, for the $300 dedicated space, we need 4 entrepreneurs there. For us to meet our numbers, we need X number of entrepreneurs. We do have that information. I can send you all the detailed budget if you'd like. I think that would probably answer a lot of your questions. I don't have it with me at the moment, but I can get it to you as early as tomorrow.
I am interested, in
Okay.
particular, not wanting to
Right.
over-expect, but,
Right.
How do these things grow? Do they just go like this or slowly and then
They
begin to
go-
mature? And what kind of sales and activity would we
Yes.
expect?
Yes, I would definitely share that with you. But we have thought through that. I sat with Carl. We created a detailed budget. We've run it by everyone on the committee, and the committee feels comfortable that we can make our projections. So I will definitely share that with you. The numbers are there.
Thank you.
The numbers are there.
Great. Are there any other comments? I think not seeing any. That moves us to Councilwoman Del Eastern.
Well, we have a number of.
We've got public comments first. So, hearing from the public, there's a number of people that have signed up. I believe that we have a Brian Bookwalter. Is Brian here?
He's here.
Good evening. It's Brian Bookwalter.
Thank you.
Common Conception. I actually assumed that Jared was going to speak first, so thank you for calling. It's probably an alphabetical thing. Computers. My name is Brian Bookwalter. I'm the communications coordinator for the Kansas Dental Association. I've served as a web designer, graphic designer for 2 different advertising agencies in Topeka. Jared asked me to come speak tonight to reiterate a lot of the points that have already been made about the desire to have a makerspace and what it can do. A few more things on my resume. I was a graduate teaching assistant at Kansas State, and I've also been an adjunct instructor at Washburn, and specifically in web design. And one thing students ask me a lot is how to learn outside the classroom. And one thing I think the makerspace, a concept that's missed a lot, is that the makerspace acts as an educational hub as well as more of a business hub. And I guess as an educator, one thing you always take away is when you try to help others learn, whether it's HTML, code, how to build something, how to use a power tool, you learn yourself. And so I think, at least for the aspect of the teaching profession, that's a huge benefit that you get that is sometimes missed if you've never been an educator. But so that's a I guess an aspect of the argument tonight that I wanted to bring to the table. A couple other points of what kind of problems Makerspace would solve. Web development is sometimes outsourced. Some small businesses outsource their web content to agencies in California, New York. If you look at their source code, they're using entities that are outside of Topeka. I think we could have a makerspace that would help keep a lot of that web development local if we had the training to do so. And then also, not everyone has a home in Shawnee County. I do. I've been a Shawnee County taxpayer for 4 years. So I have a home, I have a small garage, but not everyone has that in order to get dirty and to make things. Makerspace fosters that because it's impossible to do it in your dorm, in your yard, or borrowing. So if there's any questions, I would like to entertain them, but I think Jared could probably answer a lot of the detailed
Are there any
items you might
questions?
have.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is the list in a different order, or do I have it in the right?
It's alphabetically.
All right. Is it okay to go alphabetically? All right. Next I had Mickey Burscher.
Hello, my name is Mickey Bircher. I'm a graduate student at Washburn University, and I'm also a small business owner. I just started my business this year, so I'm working on building my client base while I'm still in school, with the intentions of becoming one of the first users of 712 Innovation. So to make that clear, I'm not one of the people who's been putting this together. I'm a potential user. My business offers media consulting and content generation for digital platforms. So I really can't talk about the makerspace, but I can talk about the co-work space because that's where I would be. I did a little research for you guys just to save you some time, and I'm gonna try to condense it into like the 3 minutes that I have left. But if you have questions, feel free to ask. When I read a lot of articles, the 4 main advantages to a co-working space were, first of all, that it gives small businesses without a dedicated office space credibility. Because when you're meeting with a client and they can come to a space that is clean, has desks, may have a coffee pot, or even just other people around, it makes you look more legitimate than if you have to meet them at Starbucks 5 times in a row. Also, I can't afford Starbucks 5 times in a row, so 712 Innovations would be a lot better. The second thing it provides us with is resources, things like the training that Glenda was talking about, access to other entrepreneurs who can help me. For example, I can't make websites, and it sounds like there's somebody back there that can make websites. Fantastic, because I need one. That's the kind of connections that are going to get made in this space, and that's the kind of connections that are going to help small businesses not only to exist here, but thrive and grow. We also have, in co-working spaces, there's just a different type of environment. Co-working spaces aren't cubicles. They're mostly not offices with doors that are closed. You're all sitting in the same space. You're being creative. You're allowed to talk to each other. There might be some music playing over in the corner, but it's just a different environment than when you walk in to like a bank. You know the feeling you get when you walk into a bank. It's a bank. It's a bank feeling. But when you walk into this space, it's creative, and it helps you to get into the mindset you need to be in as an entrepreneur. And one of the other things that it provides is collisions. And in the entrepreneur world, collisions means meeting other people. So maybe one of the people who's in the co-work space at the time comes in with a client, and that client is going to utilize their services, but they also need someone to write content for their website. And that person goes, well, I can't do that, but Mickey can, and she's sitting right here. I just potentially got a new client just by being in the same space as another entrepreneur who doesn't have the same skill set that I have. Those are the types of things that are going to help small businesses like my business to, like I said, not only exist, but thrive and grow. I also looked at some surveys by a publication called Desk Magazine, and here's some fun facts for you. People that moved to a co-work space after working from home reported that they felt more productive, healthier, and actually increased their income. And here's a very staggering statistic. The same survey said that 90% of the respondents who went from home to a co-work space said that they felt more confident in both their business and their capabilities. 90%. 90% of our entrepreneurs could feel more confident and more capable. That's worth investing in. Finally, on a personal level, I just want to tell you how important this is to me because I'm a transplant. I'm not from Topeka. I love this city. I want to be here for a really long time. The two other cities that I love are Chattanooga and Boise. And I'm telling you, they have nothing that we have everything they have. We're just still working on it. And this is a step in the right direction. I will be the first person in line to get a membership to 712 Innovations, and if I can afford it and it's financially feasible for me and my business, I'll be the first person in line to get my own office. And I'll stay there until I either don't have a business or until I buy my own building. Let's hope for that. But I'm asking you to support this, and hopefully you all will. It doesn't sound like you need a lot of convincing. So, thank you.
Next, we have Lazone Grays.
Good evening. My name is Lazone Grays. I'm a member resident of the city of Topeka. I wasn't asked to be here. I just saw it on the agenda and signed up to speak about, in favor of this opportunity here, because I do a lot of work in technology, and I've done a lot of work down the road in Kansas City after Google came to town, and the efforts that have taken out took root there, and a lot of the steps that will be taken here have been taken there, and being on the ground and seeing what it can potentially do to inspire others in the technology field. Yes, manufacturing is making a comeback and is growing in certain perspectives, but technology isn't making a comeback because it hasn't slowed down and is keep going forward. And so I know that through the support of Go Topeka and the Topeka Chamber Foundation supporting our summer youth program teaching young people code, who would walk from Ripley on a Tuesday and Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, but they all stuck and stayed with the program. And so when we're talking about teaching young people how to build websites, they are younger than the set of people here who are talking about the program. But there's never too young to start trying to find those young people who are interested in coding and in that technology. Hopefully, as it gets established, we can find another place to take the young people that we're going to continue to work with as a field trip. They may grow up to be future recipients of what goes on to that building. There's no reason of reinventing the wheel or duplicating things. We're not going to buy a 3D printer if there's one block away. We're going to send them over there, and hopefully people will be able to give them the training and take them to certain levels that we're not going to take them. We're just a conveyor belt, piquing interest, moving them on, and hopefully getting them in other places where people can take them to another level. So I'm always critical of a lot of things, but this is something, that I think is very good for the city. I think that if Google would have chose Topeka, more people would start seeing the technological light. But now that they have people who are here and they see it, hopefully they can express to you, and then you can back their play on it so we can get moving in a solid direction.
Thank you. Next, we have Mark Lyman.
It's Lamone, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. It happens all the time. My name is Mark Lamone. I've lived in Topeka for 12 years, moved here from rural Kansas. I work as a logistician for the Kansas National Guard, Army National Guard, and raise my family in Topeka. I'm here in support of technology in general, in support of innovation in general. I was part of the Google initiative to try to get their fiber here when that went down. And so anything like this, I'm quick to jump aboard because I've seen the benefits in smaller pieces in my life. For example, again, growing up in rural Kansas, not a lot of technological opportunities for education or for application, but just happened to take a course in like basic computer skills. Not even necessarily coding, not even necessarily building, but just basic computer skills. At the time, I assumed everyone was getting it. I didn't think I was special. By the time I get here to Washburn, and I'm meeting with my peers and talking to my peers, I see that they're missing something critical that I got and was able to tag back to that piece in my education when I was younger. You know, the logical thinking, the application, the innovation about taking a problem and coming up with a grand solution in a short amount of time. That just being, you know, an A to Z process, being nothing great. Like I saw a lot of my peers that didn't have that in their background, it being a struggle for them to do so. And it applied to everything, not just necessarily, again, computers, but just to schoolwork, just to life in general. You know, makerspaces like 712 Innovations provide an opportunity for the community to improve the technological skills that it already has and the ones that it can garner, the one that it can have. Not just, again, from kids that from 9 to 92 are going to have the opportunity to learn new skills and foster the skills that they already have and hone them. And again, the application, I think, is a big part of it too. Is you can learn a lot, but if you don't do anything with it or have an opportunity to do anything with it, it kind of becomes useless. You know, it sounds like 712 is going to be a place where you can innovate and then apply. And I think we miss that critical step often. And I think Topeka is going to be a great place to see a lot of the application for the innovation that comes from this place. You know, comprehension and application of technological skills are going to be forever a necessary component of our life. They're not going away. It's going to become a bigger deal. I often hear it say, you know, program or die. It's like you either learn how to control your life, or the things that control our lives now are going to control us. And we need to be in the forefront of that. Now, as our community expands and we continue to, we need to invest now so we can later reap the technological and economic dividends of a place like that a place like 712 can offer. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Finally, we have Jared Starkey.
Good evening, members of the board. First off, I'd like you guys to know that today is my 3-year anniversary, and I'm here. So that should by itself say a lot about how much I care about entrepreneurship. I'm going to repeat a lot of what people have said, so I have some prepared remarks that I'm going to cut down. For the past 3 years, I have been enamored by this idea that I'd like to share with you. Across the world, there are people who make rocket engines, race cars, supercomputers, devices that we have at our hospital that they run you through and they can see what your organs look like without even cutting you open. There are people who make refrigerators. There are people who make hammers. There's a guy who makes a plastic thing you can buy on Amazon.com that you shake it and it chills your beer down in 25 seconds. The interesting thing to me about all of these people is that they live in the same world we do. The same rules apply. The only thing that separates any individual one of us from being able to build any of these on our own is access to the right tools and access to an environment where knowledge is shared amongst people. What we're asking you to do is to bring both of these things to Topeka. I've brought a small group of people with me that I think comprises probably the largest group that have attended a JEDO meeting since public comment has been allowed. With less than 24 hours, they deemed that this was appropriate enough to, important enough to come and share their passion with you. So at this point, I'd like every one of those persons to stand. I just want to point out that Topeka has a reputation for turning new ideas into multi-million-dollar businesses, and we've seen that in just the last 5 years in our own community. Thank you, everybody. You can sit down. It's okay. I can't promise you that every one of these people is going to create the next Hills, the next BNSF, the next Advisors Excel, but I can promise you that every single one of them is going to try their hardest. Now, I have one person that I tricked into coming here. He didn't know I was going to do this, but I want to make a very, very valid point about what I've experienced as I've gone through the process of trying to help put this together. Do you guys know how many amazing people live in Topeka? How many genuinely amazing people are doing amazing things that if we only had a focal point where we could get all of those people to conglomerate around one area, that then you could parade new businesses that are interested in setting up shop in Topeka and show them someone like Brent Porter, who had no idea I was going to do this. He's wearing an orange shirt to show how much he was prepared for this. Brent Porter lives on the east side of town, and he has a company that he's part owner of called Action Button Entertainment. They have 2 people that work there. Brent's game that he made last year called, what was it for the iPad? Ziggurat, yeah. Ziggurat was featured as Time Magazine's one of their top 10 must-have iPad games of the year. And he's living on the east side of town in Topeka, and no one even knows that he's here because there's no place for these people to go. All you have to do is give us your support, and I would encourage you, as you know, I would love to answer questions. I heard a lot of questions that were being asked that I was about to jump out of my chair. But I'd love to take any of your guys' questions, and as we move forward with this, I invite each and every single one of you to ask any of us if you have an idea on how we can improve our ideas, let us know. This started 4 years ago in that man's living room. Zach Sneathen and Carl Fundenberger and Matt Gasson invited everybody over to talk about this idea for starting a co-worker space in Topeka. It went from, well, maybe we can get enough people together that someone will donate office space, to, well, let's all chip in $20 at a time to generate $2,000, to Doug Kinsinger saying, this idea is going to change Topeka. So,
Is there a motion to extend time?
So moved.
I think it's joint. Pick up. Commissioner Bueller is second. Commissioner, how much time?
4 minutes.
Okay.
4 whole minutes?
Yeah.
You don't have to use it.
I'm not sure I actually need that. But I do want to point out that this was an idea that started at the grassroots level. Oh, do we need a vote?
Yeah, we got to take this vote just to make it official. Second by Councilwoman Hiller. Roll call.
Commissioner Bueller?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Archer?
Aye.
Mayor Wolgass? Yes. Councilmember De La Isla?
Yes.
Councilmember Hiller?
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt?
Yes.
All right. Go.
Thank you. I've never been the subject of a roll call vote. I appreciate that. I do want to point out, this was a grassroots effort that was, you guys probably saw newspaper articles, rumblings of this trying to get put together. And what changed it all was Doug Kinsinger came to me before Glenda came to town. Glenda's helped immensely, but Doug came to me and said, people have told me that you have this idea and I want to learn more about it. And as soon as, what I've learned out of this whole process is when the right person says the right thing, stuff starts moving really quickly. We've been working on this for years, and in the last, 9 months, this has gone to light speed. So I credit where credit is due. This is not one person's idea. This is a lot of people that have came together around this. So with that being said, and 3 minutes and 15 seconds remaining, I'd love to answer any questions that I might be able to. Oh, and I can point out one thing. You had mentioned access to tools and what people might do in pursuit of a business. Interesting thing for you. What has happened in most makerspaces is oftentimes it is the harebrained idea that ends up being the next big thing. Have you guys heard of a product called Soylent? It's a powdery stuff that you mix in a drink. A software engineer in California came up with the idea because he hated going to lunch. That was his whole idea, is I hate going to lunch. I want a powder that I can shake up and I can drink it, and it's all the nutrition that I need. They did a Kickstarter and raised something like $11 million in a month because of one guy's harebrained idea. There's the 3D doodler pen. That started in a makerspace. So yes, it is in pursuit of a business, but oftentimes it's the wild creativity that really leads to the next big thing. So I appreciate that question. I'll take your questions now.
Questions for Mr. Starkey? Councilmember Schmidt.
So this beer cooler down thing. Do you shake it up and then put the beer in, or do you have to shake the beer?
You put the beer in and then you shake it, but because of the way it's constructed, it doesn't actually foam up your beer.
Okay.
There's science involved. It's really serious. So
I'll take it. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Starkey? Councilman
I
Schmidt.
feel like I'm bringing it down with this practical question, but I've been working with some fiber artists for some time, and one of the things they've been interested in is places where you can do those nasty things that people don't want you to do in their kitchen or the garage that involve steamy, messy things, and Council or Commissioner Bueller also mentioned food. Is this space going to start out with the capacity to do with vents and ability to handle messy things, or?
We have, so an interesting part of the problem that we've been dealing with is typically co-work spaces resemble this, chic, classy office environment.
It did, very much.
And maker spaces tend to look like a hoarder's garage. So there's been sort of a mixing there. We've got a good plan in place. Reasonably, there are limitations on what we can do. Personally, I wanted a steel mill and I wanted a wood lathe. As it turns out, downtown Topeka, right below a lawyer's office, not the best place to be milling ferrous metals. So there are limits as to what we can do in this space. But we've already identified in the process of putting this together, we've identified 2 other places that we've looked at that we can expand to. So if you guys find any extra money laying around, then we already have a plan on how to grow beyond that. This facility is mostly going to be geared towards what I would classify as light manufacturing. Someone asked what tools we're going to go in. There is going to be a soldering lab where you can build circuit boards and custom electronics. One of the areas that's really taking off right now is actually, they call it e-clothing. It's textiles that have electronics woven into them. You've seen the t-shirts that light up. People are actually getting really serious about those things.
Question and answer is not part of the limits.
Yes. Sweet. I didn't want to be there to be another vote. There's going to be and I'm sure she'll get you the list to detail it, but we are looking at one of the feature items that everybody has asked for. I've actually had 4 businesses just approach me about access to a CO2 laser cutter, where you can put something in there and cut out. You can do everything with those, from make screen printing materials to manufacturing parts. I think everybody in here knows Carl Fundenberger, who is super excited about being able to custom laser cut his own bike sprockets and gears. There's amazing things that you can do with these tools, and they're surprisingly safe. I mean, you push the big red button, and it goes and does its thing, and you don't even have to touch it. So, more questions?
Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Commissioner, I just wanted to say that you do have a budget under your packet that's called the amended budget. So if you'll take a look at that, that will show you that we're asking for the $156,024. We also have in our budget 3-year lease of this space. And so we'll need your approval on the lease and the $156,024 to move forward with the lease at 712 Kansas.
At this time, I would entertain a motion. I see several hands, but I think I saw Councilmember Schmitz first. Sorry.
I would like to enthusiastically move to reallocate the money as laid out in the proposed budget of $156,000 and $156,024, and also to approve the lease arrangement of 3 years for this space.
Is there a second on the motion? So noted by Councilwoman Della Isola. We'll take a vote. Is there any public, comments or questions?
No, you go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
And this is a question perhaps for Scott and/or Doug. We're entering into a new endeavor here of leasing space, insurance, et cetera. Is all of this under the umbrella of Go Topeka?
712 Innovation.
Okay, but who signs the lease? Is it 712 or is this Go Topeka?
We've been working with Phil Elwood of Goodell and Stratton to do the legal structure, and it will actually be a limited liability corporation. Just so it'll be its separate legal entity, and that will be the entity that will be entering into the lease and purchasing the insurance and all of those activities. It is a LLC underneath the Chamber Foundation to enable us to get other contributions like we've been getting already from Cox Cable and SBA.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. That helps to clarify. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Archer.
Yeah, I was just going to thank Linda and everybody that came here this evening. I think the discussion has been uplifting. I think the project is positive, and I'm really excited about it. So thank you all. Thank you all.
Might add a lot of energy, too.
Yep.
Other comments before we take to vote? Councilmember
I'll
Schiller.
add some positive comments to that. I think the brief history that Jared gave with Zach and Jared and Carl and Matt getting together in the living room and starting, I mean, that in effect is that kind of innovation and talking. We've had a lot of that going on in this community. Those four have been involved in a lot of it too, and so just want to really appreciate that starting thought and the tenacity to stay with it, and the help that everybody has given you along the way. It's exciting.
Councilman Schmidt.
One final comment. Jared did ask the question if we were aware of the great things that are going on and the great minds in this community, and I think, I don't know how publicly it gets out there, but there are great minds and there are great people in this community that are doing great things. We've got a fabulous set of young entrepreneurs that are just looking for something like this, some sort of catalyst to develop the next great thing, or to better their lives and better the lives of this community. So yes, we do realize that, and there are a lot of them, and we need to keep recognizing them. So thank you.
Any other comments? Point, then we would call for the vote.
Commissioner Bueller?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Archer?
Aye.
Mayor Wolgast?
Yes.
Councilmember De La Isla?
Losing all decorum, absolutely.
Councilmember Heller?
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt?
Yes.
So that passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Brings us to our next item.
Item 8, public comment.
Lazone Gray is signed up to speak on public comment.
Kind of bricks that fell on me. There's and there should be enough copies around there. If not, I have a couple of more. Again, my name is Lazone Grays. Good evening, members of the Joint Economic Development Organization. I will try to be brief, but I may need a few minutes extra anyway. I think that is just important that, one, because we did run a summer program working with young people, and we did get support from Go Topeka that was sponsorship, some monies that would come in, at least let you know what we did with that funds and what were the outcomes. I did share an email. I didn't bring copies of that report there, but it was the same report that I had sent to them that showed how many young people had applied, how many were in, how many left, things of that nature there, and I can answer any question that a person may have there. I also shared what it was considered possibly a pilot project as well, realizing that there are some inefficiencies that we'll have to work on for the next time around. But considering the overall attendance and completion rate, I think it was about 85%, again, of young people who did not have to come in on a Tuesday and Thursday, who some would probably think that they would wake up early in the morning on those days and come in doing something outside the box. But I think that just goes to show that when available, there are young people in the community who will take advantage of getting involved in things that they're not really knowledgeable of, and they're not incited to explore. So I don't want to waste too much time on that. I would like to acknowledge, the support that we received. In that report, Westar Energy, Topeka Chamber Foundation, and Go Topeka made financial support to the program. That was not enough for the program. In general terms, a 3-month program of coding, basic HTML, CSS, would probably be a minimum of $3,000 per person, in some instances up to $11,000. So working with 7 people down to 5 who completed the program for $2,900 some dollars, we did it, but it was not to the capacity that I would like to see it, and hopefully we will get bigger support down the road. The information I shared with you here is sort of to keep you abreast of the things that I've come here over the years about training for specific populations. I'm all good for helping kids, but my target remains on those adults who are the fathers of these kids, who are not in the MTech program, who are not probably going to be interested in this level of programming, who are in the community and they need to be doing something. And since the Mayor's Neighborhood Task Force, Neighborhood Summit that led into the Neighborhood Task Force that I've been a part of, talking about this issue about job training for LMI individuals, potentially in the neighborhoods where they live, well, we have been tracking that. There was intent for possibly it happening in the Avondale East Center, but because things just did not move slow, that's off the table because it's a full building. Proposal was put for the Abbott Center, and that was a part of what the groups was waiting on. Now that that decision is done, that's off the table as well. The last meeting that we have had, and I want to thank Scott Smathers, he has been very supportive from his end. It consisted of people who have tangible things to bring to the table and have pledged their time from an advisory perspective to the point of making whatever services and resources they have available eligible for people who would be in a program such as this nature here. That include Heartland Works, Kansas Apprenticeship Council, which the front sheet is something from the Kansas Apprenticeship Council, and it really shows the guidelines of what should a program have. And if you look into what the program is about, NCCER training, which leads to credentials that's recognized.
Is there a motion to extend? Moved by, how long?
3 minutes is possible.
Motion to extend for 3 minutes by Councilmember Schmidt, second by Michelle De La Isla. Vote?
Commissioner Bueller?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Archer?
Yes.
Mayor Wolgast?
Yes.
Councilmember De La Isla?
Yes.
Councilmember Hillard?
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt?
Yes.
Thank you for your time. The front sheet here, if you look at everything that has been aligned through all these meetings, through the Neighborhood Task Force and the people have come together, every part of this here is pretty much covered. The tentative support from Washburn Tech from the instructor perspective, the Kansas Department of Children and Families because of their fatherhood initiative funds that could help people who are in specific programs start to reduce their arrears while also getting skills. The Kansas Department of Commerce, which is a part of the operations, the workforce centers, and of course the City of Topeka Housing and Neighborhood Development Department, the City Manager's Department has been very supportive of this. So I really just want to give an overview to you and others who may be watching of the positive things that are going on behind the scenes that's leaning towards this training for this target population I keep bringing forward, because it's important that, that they have the skills. If there's going to be development on the zoo or anything from the sales tax on the hotel, I would hope that there are going to be people who are fathers and mothers interested in doing this work that have availability of programs such as this. Not everyone's going to get into manufacturing. A lot of the weatherization, from mowing to, there's a lot of things that is ongoing work in the community that people don't have. And part of this here, structured to hit on those very things that Ms. Feldman was mentioning, you know, the soft skills, being on time. So I just want to say that I'm very pleased that the support that has been made available. One thing that has happened that after the decision about the Abbott Center didn't go through is that we have to look back and see where we're going to put a foundation for this center and this program and this training is at. So I figure we'll be meeting at some point in time and try to figure that out and bring it back to you. But where the training is, what curriculum is going to be used, who the partners are, what services and resources they have to bring, none of those things change. The only thing that is lacking now is the location of where can start the process. So I don't want to, I don't think I have anything else to say. On the second sheet, it just sort of shows what curriculum specific from the NCCR that's going to be covered, what certifications will be achieved upon completion. All of these certifications are required by the industry, safety, OSHA, CPR, and especially those nowadays that deals with lead-safe work practices and lead abatement. And if possible, maybe it can extend to asbestos remediation and mold remediation. These are the type of things that there's work going on all the time. You don't have to wait for a big company to come in. So if there are any questions, fine. If not, I appreciate your time.
Is there any questions for Mr. Graves?
I
Councilwoman
do have
Hiller.
one. I'm a little confused. You mentioned Ms. Feldman, and she talked about a number of emerging programs for training that I think are targeted at the group that you are prioritizing.
I can't say if that's targeted at the group that I prioritize. From what I'm hearing, you know, those
You're-
programs are in the high school that are targeting those, and maybe there'll be single mothers, but manufacturing and those type of programs of what they have mentioned, I don't see that that not in the mix of the type of training, painting, plaster, drywall, scaffolding. None of that's being made available.
And that's not something that Washburn Tech is doing?
Not at this level here. Places like Washburn Tech, pre-apprentice is something that gets people prepared to get into a Washburn Tech, that prepares them to get into a formal apprentice program, that prepares to get them on a work site as an entry-level construction worker. That may just start picking up boards and learning how to wake up on time, be on time every day, and things of that nature there. These other things are more of a higher level, and when you're working with the population that I have for 20-some years, there needs to be a bridge in getting them from where they are at to right here. And there are some things that are missing. I need some other people in the community to stand up and come to the table before I even move forward, even if we found a location. It's great to have those people there who are supportive. But there's some critical people in the community here who need to step forward, and I'm trying to get them there, and they're about the only ones who can slow this program down. It's not me and other folks.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right. Then I guess then we are now adjourned.
Good to see you.